For this week, we have Dean Nancy Gomez, who is Dean of the Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences at the University del Norte in Barranquilla, Colombia. And Professor Gomez is also a professor of communication there. So thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you very much, Sarah, for the invitation. It's my pleasure to be here and sharing with you a little bit of this research, which I did when I was in my doctoral program. And every time that when I go back to this research all the time, I find new things and aspects that I have not considered before. So I am so happy to have the opportunity to share with you, because I know that with the conversation that we are going to have, I'm going to rediscover many things that I have not seen in this research. So as you can see, the general title of this presentation is related with visual storytelling and embodied memories, which is a work that I did with Quechua women's narrative in the conflict in Peru, using film and photo voice. So the first part of this conversation that I want to have with all of you is more the kind of introduction and the way that the films about memories, when combined with participatory visual methods, in this case like photo voice, offers very, very relevant tools, or are relevant tools for participants that have been affected by the armed conflict in Peru, and how they share their experience when using these methods. Of course, this is very connected with the armed conflict in Peru, but this is something that you can use in any kind of research or topic research that you want to know or explore memories and living experience and evoke that memories using the film or even visual image. So I don't know if any of you have seen The Milk of Sorrow or La Teta Asustada. As you have seen, great. Just one person in all the trip, but it's great. It's great. So it's a very, very compelling movie, and I am very sure when you have the opportunity to see the movie, you are going to find many relevant things about women. But the general idea of this movie, and I'm going to share with you the trailer. At least you are going to have a general idea what the movie is about, and also I'm going to share the first 3 minutes of the movie, which is in Quechua, but it has the subtitles in English, so you can just follow the beginning of the movie. But the general idea is that the movie explores how trauma from Peru conflict is transmitted intergenerationally from mother to their children through breastfeeding. So it's this kind of belief, and I think we can have medical explanation for this, how women transmit fears and any kind of emotion to their children when they have this kind of relation through breastfeeding, even when the children are in the mother's womb in that time. So let's see them a trailer, and you can have the idea.
Y pues estuvo en el pueblo en la época muy dura. El terrorismo nació fácil y su madre le transmitió el miedo por la leche. Muerte, mierda, muerte está.
Están llegando a alguien para cuidar la casa de arriba. Podrías ir, sacarte la carne, llevar a tu madre al puerto como quieres.
몰라, 적지가 야구다 이와리만 기만.
Si tú me cargas, yo te regalo la pelota.
La teta asustada, así le dicen las personas así como ella, sin alma, porque del susto se escondió en la tierra.
You can leave the, sorry, no, yes. So now I just want to share the first 3 minutes of the film. The reason that why I want to share this with you is because I think this is very meaningful to see how the movie starts with the relation between the mother and the daughter. The way that they communicate is through songs, you know, but Quechua songs all the time. And the movie has a lot Quechua songs, but this particular song and the introduction of the movie just give the general picture, how was the mother's trauma and how the mothers communicate the trauma to Fausta, who is the main character of the movie. And it's in Quechua, but again, you can see the subtitle.
Chay supay pawan churinta chay tuta kapariti rupune chapaya runa kuna sipay nanay niwa kaina tanir ani kanter rabia kalbina chocher kusur Chachami kurulan ki ham, yuyun tapi wang ham, kanang yanyo kata traga ruway, kanang yanyo kata me kuruway, mamay kita hina, chaita kisona yuarmita, chu. Chaito tam hapel yawarpaku, manam yaki kurkapa, chu. Oye mantapas, manay mantapas. Chaito tam hapel yawarpaku, bilar yawarpaku runtung amaki manam yaki kurachos lepas pawaram mama. Mana chayam skuntinto chukaspa. Tragara chillarqa wañusqaron tuchallanta usihuypata pulvurawan chapusqata chaynanayllewami kaynata nirqani apaway usihuypa kaypiqa riqsinichum ya Papakuti yuyarispa, waqaptiki maymani. Amaykita qachuchu, ullqusuru yakimani. Vaya mami pusqankichu, mana hikuyta munasqankiqa, illanillawan yanuchiwaychu.
Okay, I think we can. So I am sure that after this, you want to see more of the movie. Let me see here. Okay. Okay, so In this research, just want to highlight two aspects here, which are related with the epistemological dimension. And it's something that you already see here is the way that Quechua women becomes to a valley interlocutor in narrate what the history was for this. And it's this kind of counter narrative that question the history, the national history, when all the time we can just portray these male heroes and what happened, but women's voices, traditionally, they are not heard in this narrative. So this movie is about this kind of narration, the alternative narration, the counter narrative that sometimes we don't talk about what happened in official or national spaces. So this is one dimension, but the other dimension is more the kind of methodological dimension that I'm going to share with all of you regarding how we can combine film and photo voice at the same time to explore this narration. I want to say that I am not a peruvianista. No soy experta en Perú. I am not expert in Peru and national history in Peru. I just have this kind of approach to the women's experience, which is my interest, my agenda, my research agenda in this sense. But I think it's important for all of you just have a general knowledge if you don't have about what happened in Peru during the 80s. It was a really cruel time, 5 years of war in Peru. That started in Ayacucho. It was a war that started with the guerrillas, the Shiny Path, the Sendero Luminoso at that time. And an aspect that I want to highlight here and is connected with the inspiration for the movie for Claudia Llosa, who is the female director of the movie, is a book. It's the book that is called Entre Prójimos. The title is in Spanish, but it's written in English. The author is Kimberly Tatum, and she talks about Entre Prójimos, which is this kind of conflict between intimate people that they belong to the same community, and you cannot recognize if this person that is involved in the conflict belong to your family or not belong to your family, because they use all the time a sky mask. So you don't have any idea. And I want to say this because in women's narration, this is something that is very frequent to hear from women. They don't know who they were. And all the time they were confused if they were kind or they not were kind, what the intentions were, because all the time they use a sky mask. So that's the reason it was the kind of conflict between entre prójimos. All the time they were a struggle, and you don't know who was the person that came to your village, or So this is the general context. So for this research, I don't know if you are familiar with the theory of embodied visuality. I don't know if you have heard about this, but for me, it was an amazing discovery, this theory, because it provides a very practical set of ideas to approach to women's experience in this case. But as I say, you can use this in any other research with other research group. What the theory of embodied visuality talks about is how culture is experienced and expressed in the body. So it's the body as a size where culture and the experience just meet. It's this notion almost as a social geography notion that consider the body as the first place that we have when we're born. So we know the world through our body. So this our approximation to the world is with the body. I always been fascinated with my children when they just start just to see the connection with their hands and with the objects, just catch the word to them. So this is the phenomenological approach to this. This theory is very phenomenological in that sense. So what the Laura Marx says, which he is the author of the Skin of the Film, which is the name of the book, is that cinema spectatorship is not a passive act, but is a very interactive act. All the time you are just meeting what is on the screen. And there are 3 moments when you have this kind of film view experience. The first moment is seeing, recalling, and comparing. And she explains when the audience, when the viewer move between see the object, recalling virtual image when they see that object, and then it brings to mind and compare that virtual object with their own experience. So when you are just in the cinema and you have all this experience with the screen, immediately you can connect with some objects, but it's different for each member of the audience and each social group. And this is important to mention because this is the process that I had with the participants, because I watched the movie with them. And I'm going to talk about how was that experience watching the movie with these 8 women, and I'm going to talk a little bit about who were these women. So in this research, I apply this theory to see how the milk of sorrow engaged with memories of political violence. I have to say that there are other research with other movies that have used this kind of theory. I don't know if you have heard the movie Hotel Rwanda. Okay, so there is also a reception study regarding how the film inspires audience to remember what they live when watching the movie. But what is important to say also here is this is not just a reception study, because it explores more than the act, just remember the perception, because it also reactivates the memories that people have in that moment when watch the movie. So it's not just a reception study, and it's important to say this. But also, when in my conversation with these female participants, they remember what they live, but also they just talk about what their experience in everyday life in contemporary spaces. And this is what you are going to watch in the pictures that they share with me. Okay, so I had the opportunity to work with 8 women who experienced the armed conflict in Peru during the 80s. They were some of them adolescents or very young years at that time. That was the main criteria to have the conversation with them. I have to say that they identify themselves as Quechua. It could be because their families or the language, even when I think the 8 women, just one, they say, she said that she didn't like to speak Quechua because the marginalization that they experience in public spaces. But the rest of the women, they say, no, I speak Quechua and I like to speak Quechua, but the younger say no. I don't want to speak Quechua because the marginal associations with the language. So I just came to these women through the National Secretary for Women, the national government. They just put me in contact with the women and they facilitate a space. When I work with the women almost more than 1 week, because I have different encounters with them to have all this process complete, all this process. So this is the methodology that I use. As I say, I have a film screening with them. So we watch the movie together. And then after that, we have the group discussions. In the group discussions, we talk about characters, scenes, whatever they consider relevant to them. I just have very open questions because I didn't know the reactions. Any of the women have watched the movie before. It was the first time. Just one of them, the younger, was familiar with the title and the movie, but it was the first time that they watched the movie. After that, I introduced to them the method of the photo voice. I explained a little bit about this. I have the disposal cameras with me. I just brought the cameras. I wanted just to leave the cameras to them, but I couldn't do that because when I came to the customer service in Peru, the custom, they required that I return the cameras again. So I was very sad for that because I wanted just because I have the cameras with me even today. So I wanted just to leave the cameras to them, but I had to return the cameras. So they took the cameras, they learned with me how to take pictures and very general instructions. I just give to them in the same how to turn off, a little frame here, and that's it. And this is my favorite picture, all the work. I love every pictures, but for me, this is amazing that a woman that she has not used before any camera, even the cell phone camera, and she took that picture. And for me, was great. Yes, and that's why I use this picture a lot. I don't know if you are familiar with the photo voice, but it's a technique that use a very simple questions, 5 simple questions to ask participants. What do you see? What is really happening in this image? Because they took the pictures and then they back to me and I asked this question. Okay, so what do you see here? Why do you take these pictures? Tell me the story behind the picture. So it's a very provocative way to start a conversation, especially difficult conversation, because this is a difficult conversation for them to say, but also for me to hear, because you are there, try to understand on the one hand, your purpose as a research, but at the same time, you are very compelling in your emotion, listening all that information, and you have to get an equilibrium in this situation. So I can say that this is exhausting emotionally level. It's very exhausting to do this kind of research. So yes. Okay, so I just create for you this table. For me, it's very simple. I hope that to make myself to help you understand this. So in this column, you can see, which is more this theory that I mentioned, which is the film viewing experience, and the 3 moments that you have here is the central moments that Laura Marx explained in the book. Seeing and recalling and comparing. But this 4 moments is more the kind of intuition that I came at that moment, because I say, okay, after you seeing and recalling and comparing, then you start to create something new, yeah? So which is more the kind of the creation, the encounter with the film and the individual's experience when they watch the movie. And I just compare this film viewing experience with the method that I use, which is seeing and recalling is part of the moment of a film screen. You are all the time here, of course, seeing, but also recalling at that moment. But you can maybe, you cannot exactly be very conscious at that moment that you are recalling something. But after, when you have the group discussion, you start to see, okay, so that is this, and this connect with my life in this level and this level. But this is something that at least for me, occurs after the post-discussion moment when you start to make sense what you watch in the movie. And then the moment of creation in this research is more the photo voice, which is the moment when they just put all these memories in an image, okay? So this is the process. Okay, so after having all this data, was the group discussions, the photo voice, the interview with the photo voice, and of course the films by itself, because it was a text by itself, I just came to these 5 broad themes, which is the first one, the fears of ser desaparecidas, of being disappeared, missing bodies, missing closure, the masked bodies, guerrillas and soldiers, which is this idea of sky mask and everything, connected the past and present violence, which is this idea of pervasive violence, how the violence continue manifesting in their everyday life. And the last one, which is rooted in nature, excluded from the city, which is very related with the Quechua language and everything, and how they experience these social dynamics in their life. So I'm going to share the image and the themes. First, I'm going to share with you the general idea of the themes and how I came here, and then I'm going to share a specific example of each theme. So the first one is el temor de ser desaparecidas. I'm going to allow myself to read, but also speak in Spanish because I know that this is an Latin American audience. So I know that you are eager to listen a little bit of Spanish too. Some of you. Okay, so the first of ser desaparecidas. For many participants, they share the fear of being taken by soldiers or guerrillas. During their childhood, disrupt their sense of safety. As they watch the film, they connect their own trauma to the central character of the movie, who is Fausta. Particular in a sense when she is when she is in public spaces. It was very interesting that when after they watch the movie and we start the group discussion, they say, "Oh, I connect with Fausta. Fausta is like me," which was very compelling for me, why they identify immediately with Fausta. Some of them identify with the mother. Okay, but most of them were more Fausta. Her trauma and resilience resonate deeply with participants who saw their own struggles and fears reflected in her character, further amplifying the emotional and connection to the narrative. So this is the first one. So as you can see here, this is the, if we can turn on, I can do that, sorry. So you can see better the pictures and yes. So this is a scene of the movie, The Milk of Sorrow, okay? And this is a photo voice from participant. So this participant, when she came with the picture with me, she told me, okay, so I took this picture because I remember how scared Fausta was in public space. And I decided to take these pictures when this man was walking behind me, okay? So I was amazed because she replicate the original image to represent what means for her to be in public space. You can see in the other part some of the fragments that of their narrative. I'm not going to read everything, but we can read just the first one. When we came to Lima, things were weird. There were many gangs. It's not like the village. I thought that people would be friendly and talk to me. However, as the years pass, I realized things are different in Lima. People didn't talk to me, and I always made sure to avoid talking with strangers. And other women say, I have experienced that terror too, referring to Fausta's trauma. She's fearful like me. When I was studying at the school, the teacher told my uncle I was too shy. I didn't participate in class. My uncle explained to my teacher, I have experienced terrorism in my village. And that's why I could not communicate well with others. And this is something very related with the movie, because in the movie, an important figure is the uncle there. So it's the same, and this is very typical, and people that are from Colombia know sadly that this is what happened with displaced population, and they are just received by their family members all the time. Family members in this new community that receive displaced people, they became like a translator, social translator. There's no language, but social translator to the community. So this is something that happened in the movie, and women just talk about what happened to them. Okay, so this is the missing bodies, missing closure. So the films prompts participants to reflect on the loss of loved one during the 80s, bringing forth memories of the disappearance and collective grief that still lingers to her. Their narrative relieve a shared emotional connection to that loss. These fears force many to leave the dead, expose their remains consumed by animals. This is very emotional for them, because it's related with they didn't have the opportunity just to do a normal closure, just go to the cemetery and everything, and they did, and they couldn't do that, you know, because if they took their family's corpse in that moment, they can just be accused like, okay, you are terrorists too, because you are taking the corpse with you. So they represent this, and these are dogs. This is the movie scenes. They are eating the paloma, a dog, and the dogs are eating la paloma. Ellos están comiendo la paloma. Fausta, the main character, she just showed the dog to the dogs, la paloma, and they start to eat the paloma, which emulates in some way what happened with the corpse of the family. And women took pictures of dogs to represent that painful moments for them regarding the possibility to take their bodies of their family members with them. So one of them said, we could not bury the corpse. If we didn't, we were terrorists. So to avoid being called terrorists and being murdered, we let the dogs and the pigs eat the corpse. So this is the kind of representation that they have. And I want to say something that I just remembered, that at the end of the movie, Fausta left her mother body in the sea, in the ocean, because she could not find a way just to go to a cemetery, because it was expensive for her. And participants were very angry with that. They didn't like that part of the movie. They say, I cannot understand how she just leave their mother's body in the ocean, because it's important for us to have a closure. So with this, I want to say that participants, they didn't love the movie or romanticize the movie and say, no, this is the movie that represents us 100%. No, they found parts of the movie that the movie didn't resonate with them. And she said, no, this is something that we don't like of the movie. The way that they portray this is something that we don't like. But other parts, they say, okay, this connect with me, and this is the part that I am sharing with you. But of course, there are parts that we cannot romanticize of this movie. Hice algo.
No, I think the bones.
Okay. Okay, this is the part that is related with the masked bodies, which is the bodies of guerrillas and soldiers. So for participants, the presence of a sky mask create a deep sense of confusion and fear, making difficult to identify who was behind of the violence. To cope, many women refer to the masked perpetrators simple as they, using the pronoun as a back term to create emotional distance from the trauma. All the time, during my conversations with them, they never use guerrillas or soldiers. No, all the time, they. This detachment became a survival strategy, especially as their experience with the masked figures were not always consistent. Some show moments of kindness, while others inflict violence. So it's not a constant or coherent behavior between soldiers and guerrillas, and she didn't know what the intentions were. So this unpredictability only intensified their fear. Even years later, every day sounds like, they say, every day sounds like a dog barking can still trigger emotional response to them all the time. So this is an image of the a scene of the movie when Fausta is receiving candies from se me olvidó jardinero, gardener in the house when Fausta used to work. And she received the candies, but after this situation, she just threw the candies on the floor because she got scared, and she's just cleaned their hands. So they portray the hands to just remember this kind of relation and confused relation that they have with guerrillas and soldiers. And they say, they confuse us. Sometimes they kindly say, camaradas, comrades, how are you? But we didn't know if they were terrorists or soldiers or guerrillas. They came with candies, and I didn't understand what was happening. They came say, camarada, take this. They try to get our family's trust. Just try to gain the children's. They just try to move to the family. And finally, we have the connecting past and present violence, which is related with this idea of pervasive violence, the violence that just continue in their everyday. I say finally, but I have just another one. As participants watched the film, many drew direct connections between the violence of the armed conflict in the 80s and the violence they continue to experience today, particularly in the form of domestic abuse or violence. The reflections reveal how the trauma of terrorism, marked by rape, torture, and disappearance of loved ones, did not end with displacement. Instead, it transformed, continue in new forms, such as a safe living condition, exploitation, and lack of protection for them and their families. Now, in their post-displacement life, many face ongoing poverty, gender-based violence, and institutional neglect. The film serves as a mirror, making visible how the legacy of past violence remains embedded in their present realities. And this is the picture that I like. So the participant that took the picture say, "This is my little girl. She has suffered too much, señorita. When her father beat us, we slept in the street, protecting and hugging each another. We slept in different places in the street. We spent days without eating. My daughter remembers everything. If you ask what happened, she will tell you every detail. I have suffered with her a lot. For that reason, I took the picture. We have gone through many difficulties together." So this is, and if you see, the participants just go to the roof of this house to take the picture. And then, and this is the last one, root in nature, exclude from the city. So captures the ambivalent experience reflected in participants' image and narrative. Many of their photos use high angles, perspective that echo the Andean worldview. And you can see here, and then I'm going to move to the next slide. This is something that was very revealing for me because, as I say, I come from the Caribbean. It's very flat, the Caribbean. But when I start to have the conversation with Andean women and the people that are Adriana, who belongs to the mountains and the Andean, can see that the place that when we were born determined the way that you see the world. And you take pictures and everything. And for me, it was very revealing because all their image was this kind of emulation of the mountains and highlands, because they belong to that kind of space. Okay, so many of the photos use this high angle perspective that echo an Andean worldview, emphasizing a deep spiritual connection to the highlands, because all the time they refers, okay, we believe in the highlands, in this kind of cosmovision of protection that we have over others, because the mountains protect us. So it's a kind of a spiritual idea that they have. This bond with the land evokes feeling of safety, on the one hand, identity and belonging, but on the other hand, they also contrast this sense of nature with the sense of exclusion. I don't know if any of you have been in Peru, in Lima. La Sierra, que is up, in the periphery of Lima, is a part when displaced people, poor people live. So for them, it reveals a kind of social exclusion being located in these mountains. So they portray this with this kind of ambivalence. On the one hand, it's a kind of protection, a good feeling or feeling safety, but at the same time, it also reflects social exclusion for them. In the movie, when you have the opportunity to watch the movie, you are going to see a lot of scenes with this image from the Sierra and very brown and deep desert and everything. But what is very interesting is that participants just replicate this kind of look to their environment. So they say, I like this picture because it's similar to Huamanga, which is her village. When I see these pictures, I feel happy as I was in my village in Huamanga. This is my neighborhood in Lima, and I am in my chacra. Ellos llaman chacra como a la tierra que tienen para ellos. Okay, so just finished to conclude, the films create and embody an interactive experience that invite participants to engage not just visually, but as you say, as you can see, sensorially and emotionally, evoking both personal and collective memories of the conflict. Through this engagement, participants recall moments of hiding in the Sierra. I didn't bring all the image that I had because I have more image when they narrate the way that they hide themselves during the conflict behind rocks, behind mountains, and they bring this to the conversation. Their reflection demonstrate a layered experience of embodied memory, where presence and absence intertwine. One way to see this is with the, even when the movie, in the movie, you are not going to see any scene of rape or violence. No, it's not something that is going to happen. You are not going to see the faces of soldiers or guerrillas, nothing of that. But that absence in the film was present in the pictures. So what I want to to say here. Central to this process is the representation of the female body, which the films elevates as a powerful site of public memory, transforming, which is the private trauma in a very collective or cultural discourse for these women and this conversation. In engaging with the film, participants are not merely recalling the past, but actively reclaiming their voices and agencies and using memory as a tool to confront violence. I had a very recent work with displaced women in Colombia, and something that is very frequent when we work with this kind of population is this kind of relief that they feel when they have the opportunity to tell the story from their own perspective. They feel, okay, I'm finally being listening in the process, which is not very frequent for national government, even when there is all this intention. But I think this is something that more happen in very collective and community space. And they really, really appreciate that, because they say, okay, finally, I have the opportunity to narrate what happened to me in the way that I want to narrate this, and even be very critical when they narrate the situations. And I think it's good that they are very critical with this, because we learn to be very respectful when they narrate their stories. So thank you very much.
There's time for questions. I'm going to open it up to the audience. And Jacob will facilitate their questions on Zoom. He will.
Okay, you have questions soon. Or comments.
Jacob's going to start.
Oh, okay.
First off, this is just such a cool project.
Oh, great.
So, thank you so much for sharing it with us. So my question would be two parts. One, I'm wondering if you could expand a little bit more on participants' own reflections of this experience, what it was like for them, how it may or may not have actually helped them to work through some of this like long-standing trauma. My assumption is that this could be a really like photojournalism paired with you know, communal dialogue could be a really, really powerful tool. You know, I think about like all the paralysis that's associated with trauma and the movement and like creative flow that's associated with you know creation and invention. And I'm wondering as a result, like what like if there's any like initiatives, like I don't know, in either like peace and like if you know of any initiatives like in Colombia in like peace and conflict realms, or also maybe in like psychotherapeutic realms for more of these types of like photojournalistic interventions like the one that you conducted here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. So the first question, I just want to say, because it's difficult. It's difficult when you, as research, take the decision to have this kind of project, because you know that it's very sensitive topics that you are going to just open up. And my main concern it was that I don't want just to leave the scars opens and you know everything, because it's irresponsible just go there and just leave that open. I say this to answer your question, because the way the perception that they had at the beginning, of course, it was the first time that they just meet me, just start having this kind of, okay, you can feel safe, you can feel confident, this notion of safe space. You can say this many times, but even though you then you have the sensation that the safe space is not something that you are going to construct and provide in 1 week. okay? Because all of us, we have loved ones, and we know that it takes years to have this. But at the same time, my goal was, okay, so what I can do for them during this week, in a sense that this is something that, of course, my benefit is clear. This is my research, and participants make possible your academic life. And this is the reality, and this is something that I am very, very conscious of this. And when I am conscious of this, I try to be very respectful with them. So all the time I just say, okay, I am going to do this. This is my dissertation, but I want to leave something here for them. So at the beginning, they were very, very, very shy to open with me. Then something that helped us a lot, I had this a psychology with me all the time, because I knew that something could happen, and I am not prepared to contener the situation. It was very difficult, but it didn't happen this, but the psychology helped me a lot to talk with them. I just try to have a space and leave the women with the psychology, even if they need, or any of them just raise her hands and say, okay, I just want to have this conversation. This is something that I try to do, to provide them all these acompañamiento during the process and the reflections that just came up during that moment. Also, I would like to say is that the space where we have the conversation was this national office that provides service and help to displaced population. So I say, okay, I want to be very strategic with this, because if they have any particular needs, they can be attained and that a particular moment. So this is something that happened with 2 of them, not with all of them, because just 2 of them say, okay, I want to have support for my mother who has health needs to attend. So I put in contact with the person. I say, okay, listen, I am working with this group of women. One of them, she needs orientation with this and this and this. So this is something that I don't know if it is response to your first question, but is very related with be responsible. That's my message when you work with this community, because if you are a person that is very sensitive with this population, you want to help with money and everything, but you know that at the end of the day, it's just a very just is a very kind of help that is going to solve a need at this moment, but you know that it's not something that is you can just sustain over time. So yeah, and I forgot your last.
Jacob, oh, the second one?
Jacob, yes.
Oh, well, just about like, what kind of attention, or use photo.
Oh, yes.
Voice might be finding in,
Yes.
I don't know, conflict resolution spaces, and also like, I don't know, psychotherapy.
Oh,
like,
yes,
more broad.
yes, yes. Well, in Colombia, there are a really, really nice job from artist. She's Livia Posada, and she works with cartographies, women's mapas corporales, body maps, with women that have experienced all these kind of trauma. And there are other initiatives. Beatriz, que estaba aquí, she has other information with other artists, women that work with trauma. There are very communitary initiative in la Costa Caribe, in the Caribbean area, which is the el colectivo de mujeres de Mampuján. They sue these all clothes together regarding violence and everything. But these initiatives are very communal initiative. Some of them has government support, but I would say that most of this initiative comes from more from the community level.
Part of my question was, I was, as we were going through this, I thought, boy, I hope there was like a mental health professional there,
yeah.
and you already answered that question.
Mhm.
And then I get, and I'm sorry, maybe I missed this at
Sí.
the beginning of the presentation, but how did you, I know you were able to get access to these people
Yes.
through that one particular office,
Mhm.
but how did you actually like engage them or encourage them to want to participate? Because, I mean, was it like a soft promise that, you know, like ultimately maybe this will help you, like purge some of this trauma, or I'm going to have a mental health professional, or was it to just allow them a place to get the story out? Because I just think this is so raw and so personal that I think it would be really difficult to agree to participate in this. So I'm just wondering.
Yes, that's a great question too, because I was at Ohio University during that moment. So the first step was, okay, I'm going to send an email to this secretary and I'm going to ask, okay, so I am working on this. There is any possibility that you put me in contact with some of the women that have received any kind of support from your office? And they say, yes, we can do that. And that was very, okay. So when I just, and I have another contact from a person that worked there in that moment. And I just start to communicate with this person via email. And he say, I have these 8 women that they want to have the conversation with you. And I want to be very honest with this. This is my guess what happened. Because they heard, okay, this is a person that comes from the US, she's doing this kind of work. Maybe they have other expectation because I just came from the US. Okay, so maybe she's going to help us, at some level. So this was my kind of perception that happened. That's why at that moment, I just commit myself. I want to be honest with them. I don't have dollars just to give you all. I would like to support all your initiative and everything. The only thing that I can do here with all of you is say that this is important, of course, for me, but also it can be helpful for you in the sense that all of us, we need to do this kind of process in our life. I was very honest, sharing something very simple regarding with the scars. I show with her my scars in my body. These scars, I have other scars here. These scars, something that I need to heal in my life. And I just want to be honest with all of you. If you want to be with me all this day, this is what's going to happen. You are going to have mental health support in case that you need it. We are here in this office. Also, of course, I provide their basic needs. Yeah. Basic needs, you have to have lunch. I know that you work and this is your day of work. You receive a payment for this work. So I'm going to pay for your work. They work here because they need all these kind of conditions to be with me. Otherwise, they are not going to be there. Okay, so I provide all the conditions that they feel motivated in all sense. Yeah. It's not only the psychological, because they say, okay, this is important for me, but I have work to do. This is my day because I am here with you. I am not receiving my payments. Okay, that's the reality for all of us. Yeah. No, you're welcome.
About out of time, if anyone has a quick question for Professor Gomez before we end our session. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I ask the question in Spanish?
Please.
Well, the first part you talk about emotional accent in the movie and then in the photography is very different.
Yes.
Y quisiera saber si, cómo se sintieron esas mujeres después de ver la película, cuáles fueron sus sentimientos y cuáles fueron sus sentimientos cuando ellas plasmaron a través de la fotografía.
Sí.
Porque
Sí.
justo conectándolo con la semana pasada, mucho se habla de la representación indígena.
Ah.
No sé si pasa lo mismo por donde.
Sí,
Y Claudia Llosa y Magali Solier,
por
por
supuesto.
más que Magali Solier es de Ayacucho, es representada como una persona de la capital.
Sí, exacto.
Ese sentimiento, ¿qué sintieron después de la película? ¿Cómo lo compartieron contigo?
Sí.
¿Se sentían representadas?
Sí, sí. Well, I'm going to answer in Spanglish, so we can just having this on the same page. As I say, there are aspects of the movie that they just say, I don't feel identified with this, with the situation or the scenes that they say, this is not me in this movie, was regarding with the way that they, the bodies of las familiares, los cuerpos de los familiares. Ellos decían, no. O sea, it was more related with the situations that happens, but not with the characters and the representation. They didn't talk about Magali Solier or say something about the director, the female director. No, they didn't mention nothing about that. Even I asked the question regarding the Quechua, because I say, I want to say if they feel identified with the Quechua, if they understand the Quechua, and how was the connection with the language, because I was thinking that it was, fue como la parte en donde ellas podían de alguna manera decir más. Porque como nunca habían visto la película, ni sabían nada del behind the scenes of de la película in terms of the director, I say, okay, I'm going to ask more about the Quechua. And they say, one of them say, I didn't understand the Spanish part. Okay, so I don't know what happened in the Spanish part. The only part that I understand and understood was the Quechua part. Okay, so I say, okay, oh, so it was a good Quechua and everything. Yes, I connect everything. I love the songs, but the other parts I didn't like. And also was there is a part in the movie, which is a very high class part of the movie, is the house when Fausta works. And the main character is this blonde girl, old woman that have this, es una mansión donde vive. They didn't understand that part. They say, no, we didn't understand that part. It didn't connect with us. Because also the film language, you know, and this kind of film is not something that is very easy to understand sometimes. It's not connect with them. So the only part that connect with them was the themes, the fears in public spaces, what they didn't like regarding the corpse and the cemetery, y que dejaran el cuerpo en el océano. Eso a ellas no les gustó. Y les gustaba solamente era el tema del temor. El temor era lo que a ellas las conectaba. The rest of the story, they didn't connect. It was not something that resonated with them. But the Quechua was something that it was very smart from Claudia Llosa, tried to use. And also I asked, what kind of people do you think is going to watch the movie? I asked this question to the women, and they say, it's not very common for us to go to watch this movie. So the movie is not made for Quechua communities. The movie is made for the global community, but not for Quechua community, because they say, no, this is not something that I really think I'm going to watch, to see. So yeah, for them, es lo mismo. It's the same to them watch the movie or not. So yeah, but you are right in that part. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining. us.
No, thank you to you. Thank you.
Next week with Dean